What's going on, everyone? I'm Jaren, and today we are talking about F1, aka Formula One, the movie. In this story, we follow a Formula One driver who comes out of retirement to mentor and team up with a younger driver. The key players who brought you Top Gun Maverick are back to steal the summer blockbuster spotlight, reuniting composer Hans Zimmer, cinematographer Claudio Miranda, screenwriter Aaron Kruger, producer Jerry Bruckheimer, and director Joseph Kosinski, as they are completely grounded this time around on the heated tracks of Formula One racing. The conception of this film was in talks for the last decade, where at some point, this movie would have been the sequel to Tony Scott's Days of Thunder, which is still happening with Tom Cruise. And then there was Ford versus Ferrari, which would have been directed by Joseph Kosinski instead of James Mangold. And we would have had Tom Cruise and Brad Pitt as your main characters instead of Matt Damon and Christian Bale. Other than the fact that I've seen the 2013 Ron Howard film Rush, I am not well versed nor am I knowledgeable about the world of Formula One racing. So I'm sorry, but if you have come to this video thinking that you are going to get some kind of compare and contrast of the technicalities of the real life sport versus what they did right or wrong in the movie, then you might as well click off. The trailer has been out for over a year, so right when I thought I was going to lose interest through the marketing, it just managed to reel me back in. And after seeing the movie for myself, I would have to say, it is amongst one of my favorites of this year, right next to Companion and Sinners. Starting out with the production and technical side of things, it raised a lot of my curiosity as to why we never see, nor do we ever focus on any of the opposing drivers other than the facade of their vehicles during the race. And the answer was simple. Over the course of 2 years, the production of the film was conducted around the real Grand Prix tournaments. They built their own garage between Red Bull and Ferrari, and while there were over 140,000 fans just cheering in the stand of every venue, it was really Brad Pitt and Damson Idris racing circles around the real athletes. And they did this with 4 months of extensive safety and training, just no stunt drivers, just really those two actors behind the wheel, not tricking any shots. And I'm sure they might have used some kind of CGI or actual stunt drivers to trick some of the on-screen crashes, but who knows? Kosinski was able to implicate and improve upon his shooting experience from Top Gun Maverick here, where it all came down to the technology and techniques. They used Sony Venice 2 cameras alongside a custom developed camera based on the Sony FX6 sensor alongside an iPhone-based camera module for the in-car shots. Woo, a lot of big words. Basically, it allowed them to capture the intense speed and dynamic action of the race sequences, also connecting the experience with the actors who are behind the wheel, other than just a simple POV. And depending on what format you decide to view this film, it will really not just make you feel like you're in the driver's seat, but you really hear that bass just exercise itself with the roar of the engines and just the immersion of the surround sound. Getting into our talent here, we've got Brad Pitt as the legendary Sonny Hayes, an original Formula One racer who has fallen from grace as a little rough around the edges and has been touring, freelancing around the world as some kind of racer of any kind of sport just for the thrills up until he is given a second shot at greatness. What Brad Pitt brings to the table in the role of Hayes is the same exact thing that Tom Cruise has done for Maverick. He's just a very cool guy. And there's a little bit of madness with a huge ego when it comes to, Hayes and the traditions of Formula One racing. But with Brad Pitt's performance, he is just so magnetic and irresistible to watch. Damson Idris as rookie driver Joshua Pierce was an absolute standout. As the young gun who has worked really hard to get where he's at, as well as enjoying soaking up all the glory, there were moments where I thought a lot of his abrasiveness towards Hayes were going to get on my last nerves. And then there would be moments where they would redeem the character's behavior by putting you into his perspective of why he has to act hard all the time. And the way that Pierce would challenge his driving partner would be the same way that he would challenge himself, which was very mad respect about how the character was written and executed. They really took their time, the scenic route, if you will, to really peel back a lot of the layers of our two main characters, our heated drivers, if you will. And you know what? It really threw me for a loop on who to cheer for in this rivalry, even though they're on the same team. I mean, both Hayes and Pierce, they make some questionable and at times deadly choices on the tracks. And as the audience, I really felt conflicted about, them almost losing nearly every race or at times almost risking their own lives. We also have some tremendous performances by Javier Bardem, who is the owner of the Apex team and Brad Pitt's oldest friend, as well as Carrie Condon, who is the technician of the Apex team and Brad Pitt's love interest. And all the while, they get to share some of these integral scenes and moments with our lead characters. I really love and admire the relationship dynamic they have with each and every one of the supporting crew members, as well as really zeroing in on the relationship of the team as a whole. Getting into my nitpicks, my mixed opinions, if you will, is that what keeps this film from being a complete 5 out of 5, a perfect movie for me, is that this story has been there and done that. And you know what? There is nothing wrong with that. I'm not calling it predictable, but a lot of the formulaic beats could actually be seen a mile away when it comes down to the way that the characters and the story was structured. If you want to isolate the comparison to just racing movies, there's the Cars trilogy, Days of Thunder, Driven, Ford vs. Ferrari, Gran Turismo, Rush, just to name a few. But, I mean, in the end of the day, there's a reason why that kind of template worked for a long-awaited sequel like Top Gun Maverick versus an original movie. While our main characters faced hurdles of hardships throughout the entire runtime, including facing their own demons, there is an actual villain that makes themselves present towards the start of the third act. And although that may have been a minute plot device, a little detail to spice things up towards the final race, it felt completely forced and shooed in. Personally, as a viewer, it just didn't do anything for me. Neither did the subplot it was trying to service. I mean, you could have trimmed out that whole little bit and it would have just saved you 5 to 10 minutes. It didn't even impact the story. I mean, the movie was already 155 minutes as it is. Overall, this was easily one of the most entertaining, sensational, thrilling, and electrifying blockbusters of the summer. Although the script has been recycled, you have not seen Formula One through the eyes of Joseph Kosinski and his crew until you have seen this. I'm currently obsessed with the score and the soundtrack for this movie. Hans Zimmer's electrifying synth is going to rev up for next year's Oscar buzz, as well as the songs Drive and Lose My Mind. So good, so amazing. And you know what? Please, if you do see this movie, see it on the biggest screen possible with its booming sound system. This is the reason why we go to the movies. It's this movie right here. One of the best. All right, guys, that's all I got to share about that movie. Go ahead and check it out if you want. Look forward to more reviews. I want to thank you guys again for taking some time out of the day to hear me talk some movies. I'm Jaren Banawag. I'll see you guys at the theater. In the meantime, drive safe. Take care.